because he's your number 2. He's my number 1 running back in the NFL. I think when it comes to agility, when it comes to consistently getting positive runs every single play, when it comes to creating holes out of nothing, when it comes to just vision, patience, everything, I think Dalvin Cook is the best running back in the NFL. I think what Dalvin Cook does in terms of, right, like Minnesota, obviously another wide zone-based offense, right? It's funny, like 3 out of my 5 best running backs are playing a wide zone-based offense. Like, wow, that does help running backs just a little bit, I think. But I think Dalvin Cook's, you talked about it, right? The vision, the quickness, the agility, the fact that he's also very difficult to get a clean shot on because he's so elusive, he's so agile. And then the fact that what separates him to me from other guys like that is the fact that he can also go 80 yards for a touchdown. I think as a receiver, he's actually really underrated. I think he could be better in a different offense. It's just that Minnesota doesn't feature him as a receiver because they're a play action, throw the ball a little more down the field offense with a lot of 2-man, 3-man routes. And that features Jefferson and Adam Thielen. It's not like they put Dalvin Cook in the slot and ask him to shake a running back, a linebacker out of his boots and go catch it, which I think he actually has the athletic skill set to do. But yeah, for me, and then obviously with Dalvin Cook, health is an issue, right? He's got a smaller frame. He misses a couple games every year, but I just think when you add in his power, his physicality, his quickness, his speed, everything that you're looking for me, he's the best running back in the NFL. I would have probably had him right there last year. I think he's unbelievable. I don't think Minnesota has a good offensive line either. I think it's very, very bad. I think it's okay run blocking, terrible pass blocking. And I think Dalvin Cook makes that run blocking offensive line look better than okay because he creates so many different holes just with his ability in terms of his vision and his quickness and his ability to get small and find space. He's unbelievable to me. And I think he's the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I didn't even mention his speed, but I would say top line, straight line speed for 50 yards. I would have him up there with almost anyone because it feels like he never, if he breaks past,
never gets run down.
He's not getting caught. He's not going to get caught.
I would say the only people that are faster over that 50 yards is Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and maybe Derrick Henry. But it's close between him and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because Derrick Henry needs a little more free range to actually get going. But once he gets going, it's special. But Cook's more of he puts his leg in the ground, cuts up field, and then he's off. So Cook's I can't argue with Cook. Obviously, I'll bring up the Packers here. He dropped over 200 yards and I think 4 touchdowns. Him and Mostert did that. Both have done that to our defense. So awesome look for the Green Bay Packers defense there. But not to digress too much, my number 1 was McCaffrey. I'm sure, the way I've just been talking about receiving, you could have guessed that McCaffrey was my 1. So I value that a lot, clearly. And my main reason behind that is the fact that if you are getting shut down in the run game, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to counteract that? Because if you're playing the Buccaneers in the playoffs and they're the best run defense in the league when Vita Vea is in there in that D line, how are you going to manufacture yards using your running back? And in that instance, I'd say, okay, I can put Christian McCaffrey in the slot and he can just beat a linebacker. He can probably beat safeties too and slot corners. So that's why I have him at 1. I think as a pure runner, he's kind of underrated in that sense, in the fact that you mentioned it earlier. One of his big knocks was, can Christian McCaffrey run between the tackles in the NFL? Well, it turns out he's actually very powerful, strong, and he can do that without too much issue. Now, he did get injured this past year, but all the years prior, he's played the majority of the games and has been dominant. And then another thing, too, I just wanted to bring up is making something out of nothing. In the receiving game, when he was having, Kyle Allen, Cam, just all the quarterbacks that he's had over the years, and they just dump it down to him and he makes 3 guys miss and picks up 15 yards. Not many people can do that. And I would even argue there's a very short list. I don't even know if all the guys on our top 5 can do that. So that's where I think he's just different than the others. And like I keep saying, you could argue the 1 through 3 and switch it up any which way, and I would have no complaints. But preference-wise, I got McCaffrey at 1.
Yeah, and can you really argue with having Christian McCaffrey at 1? He's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. He is really, really good at every single thing. But when you talked about the screen thing, I would say him, Saquon Barkley, and Alvin Kamara are the three that really stand out. You know, they get thrown a little flare or a little swing pass, you know, late in the down. The quarterback just dumps it off to them, and bang, they get 8 yards by making 3 people miss in the open field. But yeah, for me, obviously, I didn't have him at 1, but man, how could I argue it? He is so good. But yeah, I think that kind of sums up our list. So Blake, your list was you had Barkley at 5, Alvin Kamara at 4, Henry at 3, Dalvin Cook at 2, and Christian McCaffrey at 1. I had a little more unorthodox list. I think yours will be a little more closer to the national fan kind of consensus.
Maybe.
Mine is a little unorthodox. I went Dalvin Cook 1, Derrick Henry 2, Christian McCaffrey 3, Alvin Kamara 4, Nick Chubb 5.